Hey everybody, welcome back to Movie Master, where we rank, review, trailer act, and talk about movies, TV shows, and video games. Nonetheless, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to rank all 7 Marvel Disney Plus shows so far, including Miss Marvel, from worst to best. Now remember, this is just my opinion, it doesn't have to be your opinion, and sound off in the comments below whether or not you agree or disagree, and give me your rankings, please. And also, question of the day: what is your favorite Disney Plus show for Marvel, or in general, Marvel show? Let's move on with it. So, also spoilers for all these shows, including Miss Marvel and Moonlight, which have currently premiered. None of the talk will be about the movies. Overall, this will be about the shows, and this is my opinion. Now let's get on with it. Okay, in at number 7 is What If. Now, I do think the animation looked really cool. Some of the ideas for the episodes were really cool. One of them was what if zombies? What if the Avengers never, what if Earth's Mightiest never assembled? The Killmonger one, the finale. I think a few issues I had gripes with is that a lot of people had gripes with this. And well, the first problem was it wasn't exactly canon to the continuity of the MCU that we knew. So a lot of people that I knew who watched it were, and a lot of people in general probably didn't find it very likable to watch due to the fact that it all wasn't even canon to the Marvel MCU we knew and loved. But in general, what I personally think of it, I liked it. I thought the show was cool. I like the unique takes we get on characters. I think this is one thing I advocate for. I want the next season to delve into the 2000s Marvel heroes, because now they have the rights back to Fox, and they have the television cartoon rights to Spider-Man, which means they can make a what-if episode focusing on Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire or even Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because they have the rights to his television. They can make what-if episodes on the classic 2000s X-Men, even bringing back some actors from the original movies, not all of them, but some, back into the... There's obviously a few like likely Andrew Garfield and Hugh Jackman who won't come back at all for What If, but we can see so many What If episodes for the series. And I think, in my opinion, we could see return to some classic ones like Wesley Snipes' Blade, or what if Peter too didn't lose his uncle or something. We can adapt storylines like that into actual episodes of What If. Because, well, it'd be better to do that for either Peter 2 or Peter 3. Because as far as we know, Peter 1's Uncle Ben, we haven't seen what life was like if he lived. And we haven't even seen him die yet. So freshman year is going to get onto that. So yeah, and I'm excited for freshman year, which I'm watching next year if it even comes out then. So overall, I like What If. I think there's some redeeming qualities. I think it does feel a little rushed and a little silly as to why they make the plot in the final episode go on. Like how the fact that Ultron's Infinity Stones can't be destroyed by the Infinity Stone Crusher, because apparently in every universe the Infinity Stones are different, which is kind of a very BS way to try and make it so that the stones can't be destroyed. But yeah, in my opinion, it ties them well to Loki, and yeah. Nonetheless, I'm excited for season 2, and I hope the show continues off well and goes into different, more better storylines and ideas for sequel seasons. It was a unique dive and different dive into the MCU continuity. Number 6, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, in my opinion, besides What If, this is the most underwhelming show have seen so far of the Disney Plus shows. This show thoroughly underwhelmed me. Now, there can be a few people who can like it. I loved the idea that they were taking the tone from Captain America Civil War and Winter Soldier and applying it to the show. I like the fact we see him become Captain America. And for some reason, we're getting both a Captain America 4 and Season 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Whilst I'm not dissing the fact that we can see more Sam Wilson and see his career as the Falcon, honestly, I think they should pick one or the other, because we don't need to see too much of him as Captain America before the next crossover movie. Because recently, they've apparently, because in the end of every movie they say, this blank character will return in the next movie. Like how they'll say Spider-Man will return in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like in the end of the credits for episode 6 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, they said Falcon and the Winter Soldier will return in Captain America and the White Wolf. Which means, if that means Falcon and the Winter Soldier is getting to season 2, which it likely means it probably will if they have that kind of title, then that is stupid. Because you should either do a Captain America 4 or Captain America and the White Wolf or Falcon and Winter Soldier Season 2. Do one or the other, because if they do both, that'd be silly. I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I found it underwhelming. The action was good, the writing was good, it felt like the villain was weak. Carly felt like a weak villain and a very hypocritical character. Obviously, she's written that way, but she was a fat hypocrite. She's one of the biggest hypocritical villains I've seen in the Marvel MCU, and there are all the villains and even heroes are hypocrites, and her hypocriticism seemed to annoy me. Not because she's a woman, Fuck no. I just didn't like her villain. She was a pretty boring villain, and I didn't like the fact Sharon Carter was turned into a bad guy. I understand why, but I found that, yeah. I like the fact it sets up the Thunderbolts and all that, but yeah. Overall, this one thoroughly disappointed me, and I was disappointed by the fact that WandaVision had ended and we got this. And I was happy when it's over. It dealt with the Black Lives Matter storyline very greatly done. It was done well, and I think it really tugged at real strings and made it feel like a real show about the Black Lives Matter. And the way they tackled Isaiah as the idea of a black person as a very popular superhero. They tackled that very well. And the effects that Endgame, it's bad that it may be a bit bad that 50% of all population came back. It makes you question, yeah. But in the end, it's your choice whether or not you decide. And they put the characters in great positions at the start and give them great character development. In the end, I just found it underwhelming. And yes, yeah, it felt underwhelming. Not because of my expectations, just it felt thoroughly underwhelming. Number 5 is Miss Marvel. Now, please, this isn't because it hasn't finished yet, and I'm not giving my fresh opinion since it hasn't finished. I think the show does very well at looking at the world from a young girl, and really opens up to those young female Marvel fans, and especially female Marvel fans within within the fandom. And I think it does well with Muslims, and very much develops that kind of ideas, and develops more of this stuff, and introduces it to the wider area of the MCU to fans. Now, I think this is an awesome show. Episode 3 is where it really picks up for me. Episode 1 was good, but episode 3 really picks it up. Okay, it picks it up. Just picks up from there, and I hope it will go to greater lengths like always, and end on a great note. To whether or not she'll return, well, she's returning in the Marvels, which is Captain Marvel 2. Don't know why they renamed it in the Marvels. Should have just called it Captain Marvel 2, but yeah, I'd say the show's great. Well, not great. It's good. Okay, don't judge me. I think it's good. Okay, I liked it. The writing's good. The way they tell the unique story is good. I like it, and I'm very much hoping we see more of her in the MCU. But overall, it was just good. Okay. I don't have to like it. You guys can like it. But don't sound off in the comments and saying, oh, I'm sexist, or oh, blah, blah, blah. You don't like the show because blah, blah, blah. Okay? It's not because of the culture. It's not because it isn't interesting. It's not because she's a female. Okay? It's not because I'm a young boy and I don't like things that I don't like something that will be attracted more to females. Okay? It's just, it was good. Okay? And it was pushed more to a different demographic than mine. Okay, and that was alright. I still think the vibe for it was really amazing. The character arcs will go well. It shows the world what it's like from a fangirl and the fans of the Marvel world. And we get to see it from yet again another perspective. This time instead of a young boy's perspective, we get from the perspective of a young girl. And I think she'll grow and it'll show really coming of age storyline similar to the Spider-Man movies for Tom Holland in a very cool way. And I'm hoping that Miss Marvel, not in the show, but in the future, Miss Marvel and Tom Holland Spider-Man crossover. In real life, they did actually meet on set near the ending of filming for her show. Tom Holland and them met, but Spider-Man will likely not be appearing in the show. Fortunately, sorry. Now, number 4, Hawkeye. I thought this show was thoroughly enjoyable. This show, like with Miss Marvel, did not underwhelm me. It hyped you up, and you got what you got hyped up for. Unlike Falcon and Winter Soldier and What If, they hyped you up, and you got a bit and thoroughly underwhelmed with both of those shows. Whereas shows from Miss Marvel and onward hyped you up, and you got into their hype, and it pushed you straight into their hype. And I think it did well. It is like with Miss Marvel, it delves into a different point of the MCU with a very obscure and new character. Whereas with Hawkeye, we travel back to one of the OG Avengers members and give him a new show. This was originally meant to be a movie, but I think it works well as a show too. In general, I never really cared for the Disney Plus shows, but I think I like the concepts and ideas they bring up. And they give a very unique point and set up amazing ideas. It's cool they connect us to the Netflix universe of Spider-Man No Way Home, bringing back Charlie Cox as Daredevil. And this show, bringing back Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. This only confirms, and the fact they're doing a Heroes for Hire show and Daredevil show, which will confirm the existence of Luke Cage and Iron Fist being canon to this universe, along with that basically being Jessica Jones and Punisher and Defenders all being canon, that is awesome to me, which means now the ideas like Midnight Suns and all that can happen. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's wary whether or not it's canon. If it's pulled from canon, then that means we'll have to go with the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. I'm related, but moving on, I love the vibe that the show gives off. The Christmas vibe is awesome. I always think Christmas vibes suit superhero movies well. I really would love to see a Spider-Man movie, because we've already got a Spider-Man game set in winter, and we've never seen any Spider-Man movie set in winter. Well, Spider-Man No Way Home doesn't really count. It's set in winter near the end, but not really by much, so. Overall, I don't think Hawkeye's set in 2025. It's pretty clearly set in the Christmas before Spider-Man Far From Home. it builds into there, or either they'll send the Christmas of 2024, I doubt send 2025. It's a fun show. I think Haley Steinfeld is beautifully done as Kate Bishop. She does an amazing Kate Bishop, and it really is cool finally seeing Hawkeye's comic accurate suit. Nonetheless, I think it's a really cool suit. I think it's a great show. I think, like with Miss Marvel, it's good. So I'd say great, but it's good. They're both good shows, and I really do think they were good. And whether or not they get a second season, it's up to the creators and whether or not the story can stretch. I think Hawkeye will be better off as a one-off. Miss Marvel, that depends on what the writers... It can go as a one-off, it could go good as a one-off, or go good as a second season. Most of these shows can function well as that. Continuing, Hawkeye was good. Like with Miss Marvel, it was good. It hyped you up, and you got to the hype that they hyped you up for. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier would have kind of undermet those hypes that a lot of the general audiences were hoping for. Number 3, Loki. Now, this is a fan favorite and a very, very, very big thing that I'm putting this lower than it is. A lot of people love the Loki show and think it's an awesome show that I've put it. Awesome show and fan favorite among people. And people are very excited that season 2, it's returning for season 2. Now, I'm excited too. I'm excited about the fact it's returning for season 2. I liked the show. It was a fun, interesting show that really delved into a cool adventure for storylines and went to really interesting places. It explored the multiverse from Loki's perspective. And out of every pre-established MCU character, Loki always worked best as a show. He could never have the bravado and kind of enthusiasm to take on his own movie. He could appear alongside the Thor films, but he couldn't appear as a full-on movie. So this is where Disney Plus gets put to great use with stuff like Loki. And yes, the sound next door to me is my father playing his phone, and I won't even bother to convince him to change it as well. Yeah. Continuing, Loki was a good show. I really liked it. It's great. Like with Hawkeye and Miss Marvel, it was good and great at the same time. It messed well. It set up what if really greatly, and it built up hype. I do think it was weird that they, for some reason, promoted it while promoting Falcon and Winter Soldier a bit too early. Luckily, they stopped Loki's promotion, focused more on Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then near the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier's run, then they resumed the promotion for Loki, and we got it, and it was awesome. And I loved watching it, and it was really cool. And it's cool because I get a few of my friends and one of my teachers. One of my teachers is actually a very big Marvel fan and watches the shows. I get to talk about that with them, including my mum, who's a big advocate for why I like my stuff with superheroes. But in general, Loki was great, and I hope the second season will do well. And yeah, now you're probably gonna guess what number 1 is after number 2. In at number 2, and this is a bit of a hot take for a lot of people, including myself, I'm a bit conflicted, WandaVision. Now, WandaVision is a great show. I think it was really great. It was hyped up to aesthetically coolness. I thought I was going to have to skip this. I wasn't even going to plan on watching it. I was just going to skip it and move it to the next show. But nope. The show was good. I liked it, and I thought it was cool. So, overall, it was a cool show. The cheesiness is a bit odd to get used to, but I watched some of the cheesiest superhero movies and cheesy movies in general. I've watched some of the cheesiest comedy movies. I've watched some of the cheesiest superhero movies. So I'm kind of used to the fact that we get cheesiness in movies. And I was kind of used... I've watched a lot of sitcoms and I've watched a lot of stuff like that. So I'm kind of used to cheesy TV shows and cheesy movies and cheesy stuff in general. Not both the food and fictional cheesiness. Overall, WandaVision starts with a really... You're confused, like, what's going on? You're, like, wondering, what is going on? Why are Wanda and Vision now trapped in this weird world? How is Vision alive? And over time, we find out that, well, it turns out it's Wanda. She's now enslaved this entire town of Westview. And most of the episodes don't even really feel like filler. The only episode I'll say that felt like filler was episode 8. It felt a bit like filler. I think every episode ended well and pushed us great into the next one. And I liked that. And it was great reintroduction to the MCU. But I do think one weakness it had was the fact that, well, every episode up to episode 8 felt like filler. It felt like a bit of filler. I just felt like it was filling in the gaps, whereas episode 9 pretty much went to the finale. It felt like episode 8 was just getting us from point A to point B and putting some stuff in between it to make it good, and then shifting to episode 9. I thought it was great. It sets up the future awesomely well, and it's cool, and I do think few issues there. Not me, but the show the show poses many questions that shows like what if Doctor Strange could answer, but what if and Doctor Strange do not at all answer any of the questions. Now obviously what if would have been one, but WandaVision was literally said that WandaVision was a prequel to Doctor Strange. Now WandaVision poses about 5 or 10 questions that Doctor Strange doesn't even answer. Just doesn't even answer half the questions that the show poses at the end. Only about half of them were answered and the other half were left to just be left off and be in its own little tangent. Continuing on. Now let me explain why I like him. And number 1, in my opinion, my favorite, and so far for me the best Marvel Disney Plus show is Moonlight. Let me explain. It has the best out of all the shows. It has the best writing out of every Marvel Disney Plus show. You can say whatever you want, but it has the best writing. It makes the viewer think. It makes the viewer look. It makes the viewer think. It lets the viewer think for themselves and not feed you the answers. So whether you want to admit it or not, WandaVision and every other Marvel Disney Plus show feeds you the answers. And whilst, yes, the mystery is ever slower, but I love mysteries. They build up that mystery. And at first it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow in the pace of it. But in the end, it does well. And it ends on a great note. And I really do think it sets up the idea that this character could reappear more. And the performance is, well, Oscar Isaac gives one of the best performances. The only one that would beat him as a whole of MCU performances. Robert Downey Jr. would clearly beat Oscar Isaac, but he's getting up there in as one of the best MCU performances. Robert Downey Jr. does beat him heavily, obviously beat him, not because he's the face, just because his character and acting was a bit more is way far beating Oscar Isaac's. Now, there is confirmation Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight will be returning in a Halloween special called Werewolf by Night. Now, this is actually based on a comic book. In the comics, Moon Knight actually debuted in the comic Werewolf by Night. And what's a cool continuity note is that, spoilers for the show, at the end of the Moon Knight Season 1, we see Jake Lockley has now, whilst Mark Spector and Stephen Grant are aware that they are no longer having to deal with being Moon Knight, Jake Lockley will now have to be Moon Knight. And it actually keeps in line with the comics that Mark doesn't kill, but Jake does. So that's cool. Keeps similar to the Moon Knight comics. And not to mention, yeah, along with that, yeah, so he'll likely come back in the Werewolf by Night, and don't expect a season 2 Moon Knight. This will be one of the many MCU shows, Disney Plus shows that will not begin a second season. This and WandaVision and other ones will not begin a second season. It's pretty obvious that Moon Knight was only a story that could reach for one season. Now, I really hope they don't just give us one season and then made us waste our time watching 6 episodes. I really do think the show made you question. It left so many details in every episode's opening, all the way through, and the credits. I thought they weren't even going to tell us origin story and skimp over like Spider-Man style. No, we build back, we go backwards. As we go forwards, we go backwards. As we go forwards in episodes, and we learn more about Stephen and Mark, we go backwards in their history. We learn about Mark's life. We learn about him as a character. We enjoy him and see him go through developments as a character. And I really think it's done well. And in my opinion, it really does just try to make you think for yourself. Now, there are flaws with it, definitely. I'm not saying, in my opinion, like it's the best one with no flaws. It's a masterpiece of cinema. And I think it's a really amazing thing and every other one's a piece of shit. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Moon Knight's the ultimate pinnacle of Marvel Disney Plus television. Well, I sort of am, but I'm not saying it's the best show with no flaws. It has its flaws undoubtedly. Whether or not I'm a realization of those flaws, I know, but it has its flaws. And the show's good. Overall, yes. In general, the show's great. But I will say one weakness of Moon Knight is it doesn't have as much rewatchability. Because one thing you gotta consider when you watch a show, you gotta consider, hey, is this rewatchable for me? Can I go back and watch every episode again? With this one, no. WandaVision, yes. Falcon and Winter Soldier, no. I think that's a one-time watch, one and done. You don't really find any rewatchability ideas in there. There are lots of stuff you can rewatch. That WandaVision is watchable. Rewatchable, you can rewatch that. Falcon and Winter Soldier isn't. Loki is rewatchable. It's a very enjoyable show to rewatch. What If is rewatchable because it's just anime television, and even if I found it as the lowest on my list, it's still rewatchable. Hawkeye, again, rewatchable. Moon Knight, not so much. I would like Moon Knight to be rewatchable, but it seems like a show that you can only enjoy once, and that you don't really want to rewatch again. You'll talk about it, but you don't really bring it up. Another one is Ms. Marvel. That one will likely become a very rewatchable one, being the most unique entry in the MCU. Based off personal opinion, in my opinion, Falcon and Winter Soldier and Moon Knight are the less likely shows you're going to want to have rewatchability over. But that's different. Everyone varies in ability. But overall, I won't be begging for a second season of Moon Knight, and I'm not begging. All I'm asking is that at least the show makes the show worth it by bringing Moon Knight back in another version, like either in a Midnight Suns movie, in another film, or something along those lines. Okay? But with that, that is the ranking of every Marvel Disney Plus show from WandaVision to now Miss Marvel. The next what? For now, we're gonna have 3 more episodes of Miss Marvel to get through. Sorry, I said 2, 3. So for the next 3 Wednesdays all over the world, we're going to get 3 more episodes of Miss Marvel. Then in July, we're going to get Thor, Love and Thunder. Then after that, we're going to get the Return to the Hulk world in She-Hulk. Now, I love the Incredible Hulk 2008 film. And I loved that movie as a kid, and I love it now. It may have its flaws, but I love it. And I'm very, very excited for the next entry in the Hulk storyline being She-Hulk. Now, tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, you don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to. You can agree with me or disagree. It's always fun. It's always opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Sound off in the comments below. And remember, question of the day. What is your favorite Disney Plus show? And maybe why? And what's your ranking of every show? Nonetheless, people, goodbye. This is Movie Master signing off. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with your family and friends. And as always, I'll see ya. And as always, I'm ripping off MGO316 with this outro, palm in your face. Even though it's like a cover for a tripod.